Uh, Man, I know people know I always have a gift for gab and a bit never really lost for words, but I am a little bit lost for words today. First of all, thanks to everybody, my Theodore family, my St. Paul's family, my friends, uh, my media family. I've always thought of y'all as some of my dearest friends and the relationships we've had with y'all for being here today. And it just means a lot to me to see this turnout. I hope this minute here when I die, probably won't be, but I hope that's a ways off when we get to that part. I told Pittsky a while ago I couldn't die because I'm not really sure I got 6 friends. It takes 3 on each side. If I keep eating, it's going to take 4 on each side. So it's just a blessing to be surrounded with the people in this room and other people that couldn't be here. My son, unfortunately, couldn't make it down. He's trying to do what you do at the end of the season, inventory, and taking care of 2 boys of his own. And my daughter's in Washington, D.C., and finally got to go back to work. Been off for a little while, thanks to President Trump. But they're back at work in Washington, D.C. She couldn't be here. But my family's here, and this is my family. And, I want to thank, there's a lot of people that you want to thank, and that list could start on that end and go right in and out the room. But 2 come to mind. One is Marty Lester. Marty Lester was the headmaster at St. Paul's. He gave me an opportunity to be a head football coach again. He gave me my own ship, and I'm forever grateful for him doing that. And we had a lot of long talks before he gave me the job, and we visited several times. And I'll never forget, he called me one night at 11:30, which is not unusual for me to wake at 11:30. And he said, "Look, you're going to be my football coach." And I'm forever grateful for that because of what it enabled us, and it's never been about me or I, but it enabled us to build and to win games and to be a part of people's lives and then be a part of my life. And then Tim Hardigree, outstanding administrator, needs to be back in school. Tim brought me to Theodore, and I'm very grateful for bringing me home to Mobile. We had a great relationship, still have a great relationship, and we were able to accomplish some things in 3 short years that only seems like 2 days. But Tim was a vital part of my life, and I'm very grateful for him and for giving me that opportunity. We got people from the school system here, Brad Lowell and Lev Holly, both are good friends. Not only that, athletic director and assistant athletic director at Mobile Schools, and very grateful for them for being here. But, to surmise, it's just been a great run. Somebody asked me the other day, what would I miss? Well, I miss this, and I said something about it at media days last year. It was those events I will miss a lot, but more importantly, I miss people like Tony Vance and Randy Larson and Vince Norvell. The assistant coaches are here, but I'm not going anywhere. At least hoping not. Somebody said, "What are you going to do?" I have no idea. I don't have any idea. I've got some things I like to hope I can do, but I'm going to take my time and let it come to me, and God will put it there. Whatever He wants me to do, I still think I've got some gas in the tank. I just think it's time to step away from high school football. And it's going to be hard. Terry can tell you, and think I'm very grateful for Terry being here. And Terry can tell you it's not the easiest thing to do, but I've got to find out, and I will. I'm going to beat Rick Cleveland on the golf course. That's the first thing I'm going to do. And Pigskin has got to give me 2 aside. Me and you will play. But I don't know. I'm not being rambling. I just don't know what I'm going to do. And I'd like to do something at the next level if possible. If not, I'm just happy living here in Mobile and going to retire in Mobile. So I think I counted the other night laying in bed over 46 years, counting basketball, and I was actually a basketball coach at one time. I think I've encountered over 4,300 kids, players. It's a round number, but close to 4,300 kids that we've coached. And I really think if I saw them all, I would remember them. I do. I think I would remember them. I got one here, Jack Gilmore. So proud of what Jack's doing with the Senior Bowl. Where is Jack? So proud of what Jack's doing with the Senior Bowl, the role he's taken there. Drew's here, Brady Ward's here, several players here, and I'm a lucky man. I'm a very lucky man. And I'm a very grateful man. And I'll miss you. I'll miss you. But, again, I ain't going anywhere. With that, anybody got any questions? Jimmy.
What is it about high school football that you feel like you need to step away from?
Well, a lot of my peers are gone. I mean, they're still alive, but you know, this it's a there a lot of my peers are gone, and you know, it's a I don't want to say it's a young man's game because it's not. I think it's the young man's game. You know, you see some of the you look at the playoffs, it's still who's in it, and look at the age of those guys that are still in it. I think in 2020 we did I think Ben did a story where all four of us left in the semifinals were all in our 60s. Terry and myself and Jack French and Danny Horn, and we're all in the four semifinals in 5A that year. So I don't think it's a young man's game. I just think that I haven't lost touch with the coaches, but that's separated a little bit. And I think that's just because of age more than anything. But I still got the energy. You know, I just think it's time to, I'm going to point around. I'm still the AD. So I still got a little bit of power until they take that away from me on 19. So I've appointed Randy Larson as the interim head coach at Theodore and hope the good things come to him sooner than later. I'd like to see that happen, but he deserves it. And I guess, Jimmy, I don't know. I think somebody told me a long time ago my feet would tell me, but my feet hurt. So it's time.
Any particular games stick out to you?
I want 15 games stick out to me. For what we did in 2020 with COVID and the battles that we had to fight, and we had to fight to even play them, and then what we had to go through at practice, and what we had to do traveling, and you know, it was a weird feeling on the practice field where you got players standing 6 feet apart when they weren't running into each other, and we went through that entire year and did not have one kid test positive. Not one tested positive. And that's a credit to these folks because they wouldn't let them gather. I'd get phone calls all the time about, Coach, there's a bunch of them over here, and I'd pick the phone up and call, and I'm headed that way, and boy, they're like a bunch of rats. They scattered and went in all kind of different directions. But what we did then was remarkable. The winning the state championship was icing on the cake, and the funny thing about it, when we got back next week, and the next week from Tuscaloosa, we had close to 8 or 10 kids test positive because they decided to gather after we won that state championship game, and we had a whole bunch of them test positive. But that year stands out. You know, I hope the numbers are great. Okay, you're probably measured at the end of the day. You're measured on the numbers, the wins and losses and championships. But I hope at the end of the day they can say, you know, Steve made a lot of bad decisions, made a lot of poor choices in his life. And but one thing he didn't do, he didn't cheat the kids. I don't think I've ever cheated the kids. That's hard. That's hard, but I gave it all. Invested a lot of time and invested a lot of time and energy, and threw my heart into it. Wherever I was, I threw my heart into it, and I'm proud of that. Very proud. So if I do get lucky enough to get a tombstone, I'll just put on there, he did it right by kids. That's what I want to be known for. Well, I've always had a dream to go to the next level. I think I could, I think I'd be great as a high school relations guy for somebody. Because there's one thing you can do, ain't nobody in BS better than I can. I can promise them that. And I think I could offer some help there. That may or may not happen. You know, that's always been a dream. I can't coach on the field. I mean, I'm not stupid enough to think that I can. I'm physically not able. I mean, I'm not bedridden, but it takes a lot of energy to do that next level. And I don't quite honestly have the energy to do that. And but who knows? I may take Pittskin's job, be a radio personality. You know, you can't ever tell what's going to happen. But and I've learned a long time ago, you never say never. You know, somebody, have you coached your last game? Well, I think I have. But you don't never say never. But today is a retirement. It's a retirement from where I'm at today. And God opened the door. If not, I've had a great ride. Had a lot of fun doing it.
When did you decide it was?
I almost did it last year. I almost did it last year, but I had such a bad taste in my mouth because I've said publicly we took a 8-2 team last year and turned it into a 5-5 team, and we should have been 8-2. And I just didn't feel like that we had accomplished what I wanted to accomplish, or what we wanted to accomplish at Theodore, and this group of seniors bought into what we were selling when I came there, and I wanted to graduate with them. And I think we had a great year. You know, we finished second in a tough region in the state. We were within 8 yards of playing tomorrow night, and this will be put off a little bit longer. We just couldn't get it done in the last minute, but I just decided I need to come back and just make sure, and I really, Jimmy, wanted to enjoy it. And I sort of made that decision in August, is this what we were gonna do, and I made a point to try to enjoy this last year. You know, I look at Rick, and Rick and I are real close friends, and Rick would call me every week and tell me he loved me, and he always say the same thing, and Brian Ward say the same thing. Hey, bud, be where your feet are, be happy, and enjoy it. How much longer you gonna get to do this? So I really enjoyed this year. I mean, I really did. It was a lot of fun. Very few headaches. We had a headache. We took 2 aspirin and kicked him out. So they didn't stay around. But it was a fun year. It was a fun year.
What was the reaction from the players yesterday when you talked to them? How did that conversation go?
I think most of them sensed it was probably going to happen, Emily. But some shock. It was amazing that when they walked out, every one of them made a point to stop and hug my neck, tell me they love you. I love you, Coach. I got a couple texts last night that I can't even read now or I'll bawl. We've had a couple kids that we've tried to mentor the last couple of years, and they're gonna go play at the next level, and one of them sent me a text last night that if I think about it now, I really will bawl, but it was just unbelievable. Kids at Theodore have got a lot of heart. They got a lot of character. One thing we've tried to instill in them is character. Same thing with the kids at St. Paul's. I think if we've done anything over the years, that we've really tried to harp on the fact that you can only play football so long, but you got to be a good husband, got to be a good father, and you got to be a good citizen. And doesn't mean you have to be an angel, but that's what you want. And I think we affected kids at Theodore in that realm, like we've affected kids at Colbert County and at Pell City, and obviously at St. Paul's in that same realm. So it's been a good deal, but it was bittersweet yesterday to see some of them's face. And you know, I'll go to Theodore games. I'll go to St. Paul's games. I'll go to Lexington's game. I know a boy pair of coaches up there at Lexington. I'll go see him play a little bit. And so we'll see.
Steve, you stepped away for a year, moved to the northern part of the state. Evidently, you like it down here, moved back. Do you plan on staying in the Mobile area?
Oh yeah, I'm gonna stay in Mobile. Yeah, I can say that I am gonna retire in Mobile. You know, being away from here that year was one of the longest years of my life. Had gone through some personal drama, a separation that was very painful, and still is. But being away from here and being away from my friends and all my friends was very, very hard. But I think it taught me a little bit. You know, you go to that little 2-bedroom condo and look around. Had Manny and Max, and Manny and Max both died on me last year. That's my 2 dogs. It was just the 3 of us, and you do a lot of self-reflecting while you're there. And I think it was a hard lesson to learn, but I think I learned some lessons in that year. It was very traumatic, and but you know what? Survived it, and learned a lot from it. I'm a loyalist. I believe in being loyal to people. And if you can't have anything good to say about somebody, just shut the hell up. So running your mouth and putting people down is not the answer. And I will never do that. But I'm a Mobilian, and that's what I intend to be. I'm gonna go to, if Randy gets a job, and I hope he does, I'm gonna stand up in fans and yell at him. Come on. And do what? Anything else?
How did you have to adjust your coaching style in 4 decades of coaching? Or did you?
Well, I did. I think the last 3 years, and probably the last 2 years at St. Paul's, I hate that term CEO, but I took a hands-off approach as much as probably never have. When we hired him, I gave him complete control of the defense, which was very hard to do because I'd called that all those years. And then hired Tony Vance this past year, and he had control of the offense, and Randy had control of the defense. But you know, I had veto power, You know, I never gave up veto power. If I didn't like what we were doing, I'd say, you know, we're not doing it this way. But you got to trust people, and I trust good coaches. So it was easy to sort of take a hand back off, but I still was very involved. I mean, I didn't just ride around in my golf cart all the time, but I was still involved in planning. But I felt like it was, you hire good people, let them coach, let them do their jobs, just like you would in a corporation. You know, you got to let people do the jobs. And so we try to let them do their jobs, and they do really good with that.
Coach Mass, thanks for everything you did for me as a former player. Love you. I don't think there's a better player coach than you are at any level. Can you talk a little bit about like your philosophy with the relationships with players and any sort of advice you would give towards a young coach or a high school coach coming up?
Well, I think you, I think you can never be afraid to get close to your players. You know, Terry had that same trait. I think I would tell any young coach, be who you are, but remember, you're coaching somebody's kid, and those parents are trusting you to do right with those kids. Because you spend more time, a lot of times, with the player than the mother and dad do. When you think about it, all the hours that we've had them up there. So I've always took philosophy, get to know them, find out what makes them tick, find out what problems they've got. Because everybody's got problems. I mean, I don't care where you are. Everybody's got a problem. And really see what you can do to help solve those problems. So I've never been afraid to get close to kids. It's hard to fire a kid because, you know, the easiest thing, I tell our coaches everywhere I've ever been, the easiest thing in the world to do is to fire a kid. You can kick him off. That's easy. But can you save him? And we tried to save him. We took a philosophy maybe too far sometimes. We tried to save them because I always felt like that everybody's going to belong to something. And the best gang play environment I know of is a football team because it's one big old gang. And I wanted them to be part of that gang. And I wanted to be part of that environment. And so firing them was very, very hard for me to do. And sometimes I went too long with them and had to get rid of them. But very few of those instances in all my years. I didn't fire many people, didn't have to. But love on your players, and don't be afraid to tell them you love them. I mean, I tell them every day I love them, and that's not false. That's not false. I do love them. I do. You play football. Sometimes we get caught up on how hard we have to work. You work hard to get good at it, but at the end of the day, you're playing a game. Let them go play. I tell them on Friday nights, we don't work football, we play football. Go play. Definition of play. Have fun. Play the game. That's what we try to do to them. Jack, thank you. Thank you. I've had a bunch of Jack Gilmores over the years. You know, I have high regard for our players. High regard, and I'd do anything in the world for them today. Anywhere, in the school I've been at, anytime. If I could do it, I'll do it. I'll be there for them. Anybody else?
The environment of high school football today with the transfers and all the kind of the becoming more and more of a business, and that's trickling down from college. Does that have anything to do with
A lot.
your deciding to
A lot. I mean, it's we've had kids transfer in, but the old days of winning for Hoorah High are over, because you may have a great team at Hoorah High this year, then 4 or 5 of them transfer out next year. Then what do? We should stay where we're supposed to go to school. I'm sick of it. I'm sick of the recruiting part of it. One thing I want to say publicly, don't talk about private schools recruiting. It ain't even close to what's happening in public schools. And a lot of people are afraid to say that. I'm not afraid to say that. Don't talk about private schools recruiting. Go see what's happening in Birmingham. See what's happening in Mobile. See what's happening in Montgomery. It's crazy. So if we can clean that part up, which we can't, the genie's out of the bottle, right, Rick? We can't clean it up. Because now, if they, God forbid, if they give them NIL, God forbid what will happen if that happens in high school. But that's the fun, that's part of the peer thing I'm talking about. My peers are all gone. Because as you say this, a lot of coaches are worried about themselves and not worried about their players and not worried about the game. It's not about coaching. It's about the players. It's about the schools, and it's about the community. We got too many people worried about I, and not worried about that 75 kids they have in front of them. From the best player to the worst player, they're all important. And we try to make everybody on our football team feel important. Everybody. And some of my favorite players didn't play a lot, but they're still some of my favorite players. So yeah, Jimmy, that part's it's out of hand, and I hate it. You know, I'm looking forward to going somewhere and maybe see the leaves change colors this time of year. I hear it's pretty. I don't know. I've seen pictures of it. I've seen pictures of the leaves changing colors at different places, but, you know, used to, I could tell Tommy was getting winter because the grass would turn brown on the football field. Well, then we all got fake grass. It's green every day. But you knew in the playoffs when the grass turned a different shade. But I'm looking forward to seeing those colors and see what it feels like. I'm going to get my little red convertible and get me a hat just like you got on there, Jimmy, and I'm going to ride that sucker and let, you know, let's let the wind blow a little bit, see what it feels like for a while. But thank y'all for coming. It means a lot. Obviously, there's some industry suffering right now because you people ain't at work where you're supposed to be. Some of you like Rick, the industry suffering at the golf course because he's supposed to play golf at 12. I got to get him out of here. I know Jack's got a busy time getting ready to send out some invitees. And Fred Suda, hey, thank you for the relationship we've had with you and BSN. You know, oh, Lord, I did good. I didn't cry as bad as I thought it did. Jim, gonna miss you. You're best at what you do, son. You're really, really good. Brennan, I'm not so sure, but, you know, you do a good job. You know, Brennan don't know what day it is. You have to tell him it's Friday when y'all go to games on Friday nights. But, again, thank y'all for coming, and it means the world to me, and let's get together. Well, big old party. Y'all bye. I'm on a fixed income. I can't do these kind of things anymore. Thanks, Coach. Good?